Konnichiwa, minasan. Here's Aki-chan. Welcome to the second part of the story 12 Reasons. There is no warning this time. So, without further ado, enjoy the video.
Just as Kenma hung up, Bokuto turned on his heels, rushing back to his house. His pace was so quick that the scenery around him blurred into one big smudge. He didn't care about the passers-by who crossed his path. He didn't care about the cars that drove past him. Even Akashi's voice, which was calling his name, sounded like a faraway whisper to him. The cold wind lashed against his face, leaving red marks from its frost claws. But even that hurt less than the thought of his best friend being in pain. The cold sweat was cooling his warm and exhausted body. And although his breath was hitching, his tensed muscles continued to move him forward, now working just on pure adrenaline. A firm hand stopped him in his tracks, allowing him to catch his breath again. A loud heartbeat resonated in his spinning head, muting all other sounds from outside. A blurred silhouette was bowing down to him, abruptly gesturing something. He felt like his legs would give up at any second when a hand took him under his arms, creating firm support. Bokuto-san. Hold in there. There is a bench nearby. You can rest there. I'm fine. Akashi. You're clearly not. What got into you? I know you are worried about Kuroo-san, but that doesn't mean you wear yourself out. Gosh, you are so impulsive and irresponsible sometimes. Did I make you worry that much, Akashi? Oh, you have no idea, Bokuto-san. Now, sit here and rest. I'm sorry. It's just. You don't have to explain anything to me. I understand. Just try not to hurt yourself in the process as well, alright? I promise. Akashi sat next to him, looking at the exhausted ball of emotions. It was an understatement that he was worried. Seeing someone who is always cheerful, goofy, and carefree in such a state is alarming. Especially when it came to Bokuto. Since the day he and Akashi met, he has always been like that. But even though he seemed like an eccentric guy with a chaotic personality, under this thick crust, Akashi found a very sensible, calm, and sensitive soul, ready to give his all for the closest ones. His presence as a captain and as a friend was always impactful and helpful in many ways. And Akashi adored him for that. Bokuto grew on him so much that he wanted to be there for him in every situation. So, seeing him like this and not knowing how to help, set Akashi into despair. He was drawing soothing circles on Bokuto's back, trying to help him relax a little bit. Seeking the best solution, a muddle of thoughts filled his mind. But nothing came out of it. He felt helpless. His vision suddenly got all misty as the first droplets of tears tried to escape his eyes. His throat tightened, threatening to let out a hic. Seeing Bokuto as he hid his face in the palms of his shaky hands, he wanted to say something soothing. But he was afraid that his voice would betray him. Regardless of his fear, Akashi bowed down closer to Bokuto, carefully hugging his shoulders as he softly spoke to him. How are you feeling? Hearing his cranky voice, Akashi froze. It sounded like he was on the verge of crying. And that was exactly what he didn't want. He needed to stay collected for Bokuto, not to make him even more worried. Panic started to rise in Akashi's mind. However, Bokuto didn't waver even for a moment. Upon hearing the silent scream, he immediately turned to Akashi, embracing him in his arms. He knew very well that Akashi was a heavy overthinker, constantly worried about others' well-being, especially Bokuto's. But he had never seen him so helpless. Feeling the shaking, fragile body under his embrace, something moved in him. He never wanted to see Akashi suffer like that. All he wanted was to see his warm smile, to look at those shining dark turquoise eyes, and let himself get lost in them again. He couldn't break down. Not right now. He had to be strong for Akashi. And in this situation, for Kenma too. That's right. He had to be the one to put an end to this messy situation and find Kuroo. He made the decision. Tightening the hug, like it was meant to dismiss all of Akashi's insecurities and bad thoughts, He took a deep breath and softly whispered calming words into his ear. I'm alright, Akashi. You don't need to worry. I promise. My body is well rested now, thanks to your quick action. I'm glad to hear that. Akashi's voice was muffled, yet the hint of relief was there. And as his body slowly relaxed under Bokuto's arms, a subtle smile bloomed on Bokuto's face. He was finally at ease. After a while, Bokuto gently pulled away from the embrace so he could examine Akashi's expression. And he found exactly what he expected, guilt written all over Akashi's face. He was averting Bokuto's gaze like a kid who did something wrong. That made Bokuto laugh a little bit. He had a similar look whenever something went wrong, even if it wasn't his fault. Bokuto gently grabbed Akashi's chin and leaned closer, laying his forehead onto Akashi's, locking their eyes together. You can stop overthinking now. There is nothing more to be solved. Understand, mister, everything is my responsibility. The adorable giggle that Akashi let out made Bokuto's heart skip a beat. Never in his life had he seen something so precious, so pure. He wished he could capture this moment and save it forever. Yes, Bokuto-san. Understand. Good. Now, we should head to my house and check the mailbox. Right. We do not have much time left. We should hurry so we are not late. The relieved atmosphere was abruptly exchanged for a heavy mist of worries. The closer they were to Bokuto's house, the more anxious he was. He wished that the mailbox would be empty. No strange letter, no eerie card, no familiar photo. Just nothing. Bokuto was never that afraid to come home. He even thought of turning back and walking away. That wasn't like him at all. He had never run from things, no matter how hard they were. Despite all of it, he was now standing in front of an ordinary mailbox, frozen in fear. Akashi, seeing his empty expression, gently called out to him. Bokuto-san? Should I look inside first? He carefully put his hand on Bokuto's shoulder, waking him up from the trance. Huh? No. I'll do it. Just needed some time to prepare, you know. I understand. Bokuto took a deep breath and looked at the mailbox once again. Don't be a coward, Kotaro. It's just a mailbox, nothing to be afraid of. There won't be anything inside. Just open it. His shaky, sweaty hand slowly opened the top of the mailbox. And when he looked inside, his nightmares came to reality. Inside was only one letter. He grabbed it and started walking away from the place. He didn't even look at it, hoping that it would disappear from his hand. Come on, Akashi. We need to hurry back to the others. And what about the letter? We'll look at it during the walk. All right. Akashi quickly caught Bokuto's pace, waiting patiently for him to make another move. Bokuto, with every last bit of courage, looked at the letter, finding only initials BK. Cold sweat covered his body, making him shiver. Even though he knew what was inside, he still hesitated to open it. Searching for reassurance, he turned to Akashi. Akashi nodded, showing him that he was there whenever he needed it. Hardly swallowing, he opened the letter only to see a simple card and a photo, just like in Kenma's case. He pulled out the card and read its content aloud. Reason number 2, because I was a bad friend. A bad friend? When was Kuroo-san a bad friend? He prioritizes his friends before everything, at least what I know. I don't get it either, Akashi. Let's see the photo. Maybe it tells us more. Bokuto nodded and took out the photo from the envelope. There were several kids around junior high school age besides Kuroo and Bokuto. It seemed like a summer camp with all of the tents in the background. They looked pretty happy, enjoying the hot summer day. Nothing out of the ordinary. That looks nice. I didn't know you knew each other for so long. But it still doesn't answer our question. That piece of a nitwit. Huh? Bokuto-san. The anger in his voice was sharp as a knife, it scared him. Grip so strong it could rip the photo apart into pieces. And his eyes showed nothing but irritation and sadness. Akashi was confused. He never saw such raw emotion on Bokuto. What could trigger him so much from this harmful picture? There must have been a backstory to it. And probably not so pleasant. I told him he needs to forget about it and move on. What happened there? Could you give me insight into it? Yeah. This photo is from our summer camp before our last year of junior high school. Did you meet each other there? No, we knew each other before this camp. We met at a local gym where a sports festival was held. They put us on the same team. And after our first play, we were inseparable, birds of a feather. From that time, we started to see each other regularly. That's a sweet story. Your friendship is unbelievably strong, even though you haven't known each other for that long. Right? That's why I'm mad right now. Did he do something to you at the camp? That's the problem, he did nothing wrong. At least not something I would be mad about. He didn't pick my side at that time. That's all. If I were in his shoes, I would surely make the same decision. And our supervisor was a lunatic. Bokuto sighed, closing his eyes. He couldn't believe this little incident was stuck in his best friend's mind the whole time, probably eating him up from the inside. He forgave him a long time ago, so why? Why didn't he say something? Why did he dwell on it so much? Losing his grip, Bokuto looked sadly at the photo again, memories playing before his eyes. His heart ached at the thought of Kuroo suffering alone in silence, not reaching for help. And he didn't even recognize it. How could he call himself a friend when he wasn't able to detect Kuroo's pain? Furrowing eyebrows, sadness changed into self-hatred. Akashi patiently waited for Bokuto to grasp his unsorted feelings, just walking by his side in silence. He knew Bokuto had more than one thought on his mind that wanted to come to light. You know, we were crazy kids. You still are Bokuto-san. Wei, that's not the point here, Akashi. Bokuto's chaotic gesticulation, meant to dismiss the statement, made Akashi laugh a little bit. Managing to get his goofy self out of him during this rough time was a relief, probably for both of them. Bokuto loudly coughed, trying to set up the serious mode again. So, we were crazy, doing a lot of dumb stuff. And it wouldn't be us if we didn't do something stupid and break the rules. Akashi saw how the corners of Bokuto's mouth turned into a small smile. He seemed to enjoy reminiscing on their adventures. And one time, we were caught. Honestly, I don't know what happened or what conversation was held between our supervisor and Kuroo, but when he started to question us, Kuroo stayed silent in the corner of the room. By bringing up the painful memory, his face twisted in pain. He saw Kuroo before his eyes like it was yesterday, standing in the corner, eyes buried into the ground, absolutely terrified and helpless. He probably told him everything since we were punished afterward and Kuroo was excluded from it. But I still doubt that it was his choice. The supervisor had to have something on him. Kuroo wouldn't do it willingly. Gosh, how I hate him. If there were something to punch, it would be long ago on the ground. How forcefully Bokuto clenched his fists to somehow absorb his anger. And after that, he was repeatedly apologizing to me for not being on my side. But I never blamed him for that. You know, I didn't care at all at that time. We were kids. Of course someone had to get into trouble eventually. But still, it stuck in his head. Fuck, I am the worst. Bokuto-san. Don't blame yourself. We are not perfect beings. We can't read other minds. Of course we won't be able to detect someone's struggles every time. And Kuroo-san, with his extroverted personality, was always hard to read. Akashi gently stroked Bokuto's cheek to calm him down, which earned him a sweet smile. You have a healing touch, Akashi. Closing his eyes and enjoying the soothing feeling from Akashi's soft hand, Bokuto completely missed the pink blush blooming on Akashi's cheeks. I'm feeling so much better. Thank you for staying by my side, even though I'm complicated sometimes. You are not complicated. You are unique. They locked their eyes, silently exchanging mutual tenderness and admiration. And for a brief moment, time stopped. A loud ping from Bokuto's phone disrupted this endearing moment, making them turn away with a blush and a hint of embarrassment. Sorry. I should probably look at who's texting me. Why yet? Go ahead. Bokuto took his phone, still feeling a little bit awkward. But the content of the message put him back to earth. It's Konoha. He's asking where we are. We should probably hurry. Bokuto only nodded. He didn't want to leave this magic moment where every worry had disappeared, where everything seemed to be so peaceful. There wasn't a letter with eerie content, and his best friend was all right. But all of it was just wishful thinking. Lost in thought, they started walking towards their meeting point, surrounded by heavy silence. And Bokuto had one question that weighed on his heart the whole way: how should he tell this to Kenma? The second letter proved that something was wrong with Kuroo. And this awful truth was hard to swallow even for him. Not to mention Kenma. He would probably take it even harder. And what about his team? Do they know? Should he tell them? The growing responsibility for this situation made him feel stressed. His mind was so occupied that he even missed Konoha's greetings. Hey you slowpokes! Where were you? I got Bokuto, he is an airhead. But you Akashi? What happened? It's a long story Konoha-san. I'm sorry for our belated arrival. Nah, everything's good. Hop on. We'll be leaving at any minute. Oi Bokuto. You won't even say hi. Bokuto, engrossed in thoughts, walked past Konoha with folded hands and furrowed eyebrows, completely mishearing his speech. What's with him? He's acting weirder than usual. He feels under the weather. Please, give him time Konoha-san. Okay? If you say so. Konoha was confused. Bokuto often acted weird, but this was completely out of his character. And when the bus moved off, his odd behavior became evident to the others as well. There was no loud laughing, no singing, no arguing with the teammates about what would be the best sauce in a burger, just a heavy, suffocating silence. The source of energy died out, covering the bus in an unpleasant, chilly coat. Whispers were the only thing filling the air around them for the rest of their journey.
Thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions, requests, or anything to make these videos better for you, don't hesitate to comment down below. Bye bye, Minasan.